Thanks for taking the time to watch this introductory video on emergency disaster preparedness for individuals and families that live with the functional needs. My name is Ray Morris. I'm the founder of Dads for Special Kids, a small nonprofit 501c3 organization in Phoenix, Arizona, with our basic mission of encouraging and supporting dads that have a child with special needs to stay in the family, to keep the marriage intact. That's our primary mission. And we've recently, in the past year and a half, started getting into emergency and disaster preparedness. Uh, that comes from my own personal life experience, being the son of a quadriplegic father and then being a dad of my oldest boy, Zachary, has autism and severe cognitive delay, and also being an engineer paramedic with the Scottsdale Fire Department. So I've been around it a lot in my life, and so we decided to put a program together to try to improve the outcome of individuals and families that deal with this. They're the ones that have the poorest outcome in the event of emergency or disaster. We saw that with Hurricane Katrina as it went through New Orleans. Snake report revealed that 80% of the fatalities were people with disabilities, and Superstorm Sandy is showing the same thing. And why is it? It's because people with disabilities, functional needs, have the smallest support base, and they're less resilient to environmental changes. And I want to change that. And it starts with individuals taking responsibility for their preparedness. And that's why we're doing this program. And there's 7 parts to this video. And you have to go through each one, and each one builds on itself. And by the end of it, you'll have a good base for your own personal plan and what a preparedness plan looks like. Because nobody really knows. I mean, our society, we don't talk about having a preparedness plan. It hasn't really modeled to us. And so that's what we're going to try to do here. So once again, thanks for taking the time. To begin with, partial funding for this program came through the Arizona Developmental Disabilities Planning Council. We received a grant last August of 2012 to go around the Phoenix metro area and teach emergency preparedness, and that's where we created this guidebook for that. And we've reached over 200 people so far, and that's individuals that have a disability or their support system, which is phenomenal from my view. And we've done this individually, one by one. And we're getting some great feedback, and we're learning a lot of things of how to improve it and to reach more individuals. So we also have collaboration with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3878 here in Scottsdale. Has been a big supporter of this program and reaching this population. And we've also established great relationships with social service agencies in the Phoenix metro area, such as the Mark Center, Scottsdale Training and Rehabilitation Center, known as STARS, Gompers, and Civitan. They're really seeing the need for preparedness and trying to improve the resiliency of their clients in the event of emergency and disaster, and that can only be done through having a preparedness plan. So as you look at this next picture, this is the family. You can tell who I am, Ray, and then there's my wife Kelly. We've been married come up 27 years this June of 2013. And then there's Tyler. He's a typical 23-year-old young man, and I have to share this with you. One of his part-time jobs is he's works for the Diamondbacks, and those characters, they call them the legend heads. They run between the 5th and the 6th inning. That's him. He's Randy Johnson. That's his job, and he loves it, and it's a crazy job, but it's him, and he's having fun with it, and which is great. And then there's Zachary. Zach's 24, cognitive. He's about a 2-year-old level. He's nonverbal, has autism, and severe cognitive delay. So our preparedness plan revolves around him. I have to have a plan that revolves around Zachary and supports him, as does Kelly and Tyler, and then his respite care providers that he has in his life, and his adult day program that he goes to also has to have a preparedness plan. And it all revolves around Zachary in supporting him. And that's what we're going to be getting into and talking about, is how to do that. So as you look at this next slide, this is me, this is Zach. A real quick brief information about myself. As I said, I'm an engineer paramedic with Scottsdale Fire Department. I've been in the fire service here in the Valley since 1985. I have a bachelor's in human services from Ottawa University, and I have a master's in emergency or disaster preparedness and crisis management from Grand Canyon University. And I am severely dyslexic. Have terrible reading. I graduated high school at a second grade reading level. But what I was able to do is learn how I learn. That I have to put information in a format that I can comprehend and understand it. You give me a book, tell me to read it, ain't going to happen. I'm not going to do well. But if I can take that book and listen to it being read, my retention goes up. So that's what we're trying to do also with this program and preparedness, is put it in different formats that people can comprehend and they can understand. Like those with visual impairment, they're going to be listening to this audibly, as well as those that are deaf will have to read the closed caption to gather the information that's being presented. So that's what we're trying to do. It's different ways for different folks, and the whole mission is that everybody learns and grows and improves their quality of life. Next slide, as you look at, this is my dad. In 1969, he became a quadriplegic from a drunken driver, and so I grew up with that. I grew up pushing him around in a wheelchair. And back in '69, there wasn't electric wheelchairs. It was manual. If he was sitting on one side of the room and wanted to go sit on the other side, well, one of us in the family had to do that. If he wanted to drink a water, we had to give him a drink. So it was that. And learned from him later on in life that one of his greatest fears was house catching on fire and him not being able to get out. My dad had the cognitive ability and knew what to do to get in the event of a disaster or emergency, but he didn't have the physical ability to do it. So we were his support system. So we physically had to do it. Whereas Zachary, on the other hand, Zachary has the physical ability to get out of a house on fire or an emergency, but he doesn't have the cognitive ability. He doesn't have that awareness. So his plan revolves around that, his cognitive ability, where with my dad, it was more on the physical side, that we physically had to do things. So Dads for Special Kids created this. And our purpose is to improving the outcome of individuals that have a functional need disability in the event of emergency and disaster. And that can only be done by having a support system around them that's dynamic, that can adjust to physical environment, physical changes, and the people. It takes people, having the right people. Like my dad had to have the right people, somebody that physically was able to move him around, get him around, as having the right people around Zachary that can take care of him and help him to maintain independence. So think about that as you get ready to listen to and watch the next video and the next step. There are 5 steps to emergency disaster preparedness. This is the introduction. Next step will be step 1. And once again, thanks for taking the time, and please give us feedback on how we can improve this and distributing this information. And if you'd like to get involved with Dads for Special Kids and helping to reach this population and helping dads that have a child with special health care needs stay engaged and stay in the family, and I'm a believer that I'm the right dad for my son Zachary, and he's the right son for me. If I believe that, then I got to grow, I got to change, and become a dad that loves him, encourages him, and receives his love also. So once again, thanks a lot, and we'll see you in step 1.